Got there. 6 to win, 4 for a super over.
G'day and welcome to the GameDay Squad Aus Cricket Fantasy Show. I'm Haz, that's Stu, and that's Dill. We are the Fantasy Bros, and we've partnered with GameDay Squad to bring you all you need to know to succeed in this season's Aus Cricket. Stu, what can our viewers expect from us this season?
G'day Haz, g'day Dill. Yeah, that's right, mate. 2 team previews down already in the Brisbane Heat and the Adelaide Strikers. So if you've missed out on those episodes, make sure you catch up on YouTube, Apple Music, or Spotify. Yeah, look, as always, we'll each team preview, we're going to cover the ins and the outs for season 2025. We'll run through the predicted 11 for round 1. We'll nominate our must-have bowler, batter, and all-rounder. And we'll name our young gun, player to fade, and team MVP. Of course, we'll also be opening up some packs each episode where you, the viewers, can get your hands on some pretty awesome player cards. So make sure you're tuning in, you're listening out for how to win toward the end of today's episode. Make sure you're subscribing to us across all of our socials to keep up to date. Just search at FantasyBros AU.
Yeah, 100%, mate. You do not want to miss out on those prizes. G'day, Haz. G'day, Stu. It's awesome to be back again. Another preview. Make sure if you haven't joined GameDay Squad yet as well, there's still plenty of time to do so. We're probably just over a month away from the start of the season. Head over to the website, go and download the app and sign up using the promo code SUMMER. That's all in capital letters. And make sure you put that into the promo code section as you are signing up. Don't wait until you've signed up and try it in the referral code. That will not work. It will give you three-player common packs to get your squad started. Plus, on top of that, there are plenty of bronze packs as well. So you've got heaps of cards to be able to start your Game Day Squad journey. Look, let's jump into the team previews. But before we do, this is a big one here. We've got the Hurricanes, or the Hobart Hurricanes, I should say, coming in today. And really important, I think, to get as many Hurricanes cards as possible because this season, GDS boys have launched double prize rounds and the Hobart Hurricanes feature across 3 out of 4 of the double prize rounds. So really important that you get a hands on some of these cards. Look, Hurricanes, they're obviously the defending champions. They had an awesome season last year, led by obviously that man on screen, Mitch Owen. He returns again. Some other ins and outs for the Hobart Hurricanes. They've picked up Jake Weatherald from the Strikers as well as Bowie Webster from the Stars. A couple of big signings for them. Obviously, both of them, though, are in the test squad at the moment, but we'll know more over probably in the next week or so as to where they fit in and whether they're going to come back for the Strikers. Other players that are coming back or have been signed are Rihan Ahmed, Rashad Hussain, and Chris Jordan comes back for the team as well as their international signings. In terms of their outs, the only real big loss is Caleb Jewell, who's headed over to the Gades. Really, in terms of off contract, there's no big names. Maybe a Paddy Dooley or a Pete Hadzoglu is probably the only ones that we're really concerned about. The rest aren't too big losses. So switching over, let's have a look at their likely 11 for round 1. And as I said, because Bo Webster and Jake Weatherald are both named in that test squad, we probably expect them to stay with the team at this stage, even if they're not named in the 11. We know that the Aussie test side like to keep a Batsman on hand, and obviously with Pat Cummins being injured at the moment, there's some opportunities there maybe for Bowie Webster to slot in and play a bit of a dual roller with the bat and ball, but we'll just see how they go and whether they get released or not. If not, then we think the team's going to line up a bit like this. Obviously, Mitch Owen and Matty Wade at the top of the order. McDermott coming in at first drop, followed by Mac Wright, who we're going to talk a little bit about later on. Timmy David there coming off a big preseason, and then Chowdhury to round off sort of the batters. Leading into the bowling all-rounders as well, we've got Chrissy Jordan, Nathan Ellis, Hussain, which we're going to talk about a bit, and Billy Stanlake, and then Riley Meredith to finish off in the quicks there. So plenty of opportunity for some of those boys. Mate, we've obviously got a big team preview up ahead, so let's jump into it.
All right, now for our we're going to get into our must-haves. So Stu, Dill, and I will select one batter, one bowler, and one all-rounder you simply must have in your GDS lineups this season. Dill, you're up first today. Who have you got as the must-have bat for the Hobart Hurricanes?
Yeah, mate, I've gone with Tim David as my must-have batsman. Look, I'll be honest, many, including myself, have really written David off probably most of last season, considering he sort of fit that criteria that we talked quite a bit about for a fade. He's batting as low as 7, and he didn't really get a lot of bowling opportunities, although we have seen him in the past have ball in hand, and we know what he can do. Generally not a lot, but he sort of just changes up the pace a bit and is able to take a wicket. But we didn't really see a lot of that throughout the season. But he proved us wrong. He definitely came in and had a bit of a crack at it. He had 9 innings with the bat, and he scored a combined 254 runs, which sort of was quite a good effort. He had a couple of back-to-back 60-plus efforts as well. And so I think there's definitely a world where I would have someone like Tim David come in as my batsman. If he's maybe coming in a bit higher, I just don't know what it looks like there. Look, the other thing that I like, he wasn't trusted with the ball at the back end of the regular season games. He had 3 games with ball in hand. So we know that's a bit of a cheat code in GDS and across the fantasy sports. We talk about some absolute gold, and a batsman that rolls the arm over is definitely in that criteria for us. So I think that's another reason. Just go back a couple of weeks and have a look at his T20 international form. He had games against New Zealand and India. He came out at 4 and then at 5 in the innings, and he combined for 113 runs across those games. So if I see that for the Hurricanes, I think definitely I'm going to jump on Tim David as one of the batsmen that I'd play. The other thing I love is he had that barnstorming 74 just 2 games ago. So I really see him coming into some form there. It looks like David might bat at 5 based on what we've got at the moment. And I just don't see a world where he bowls. But if anything changes, he's going to be the first one straight into my squad for sure.
Yeah, I really like that shout. I think David this year, especially like you said, if he's batting high up that order and he's in the potentially coming in the power play with some early wickets, we can see him trying to exploit that short boundary, especially at Bellerive Oval. So I definitely think it's one to keep an eye out, and especially if he's coming in nice and high at the top of the order. Stu, now your turn for the bowler. Who's your must-have bowler for the Hurricanes this season?
Yeah, look, mate, the Hurricanes have some serious pace in their bowling stocks with obviously Riley Meredith, Billy Stanlake, and even Chrissy Jordan there. But I think the man that's going to take them deep in this year's tournament once again will be skipper Nathan Ellis. He finished as the 6th best bowler in terms of GDS averages last season with 49 points. And he's becoming a pretty regular fixture now for the Aussies as well. He's being trusted in the limited overs format just because of how good he is with his change of pace, his slower ball, and his ability to stem the flow of runs, particularly toward the end of the batting innings. So he's a man that's been entrusted in green and gold. And look, he's the go-to guy in Hobart Hurricanes as well. If they need some wickets, if they need to stem the runs at the end of the innings, he's the man to get the job done. His death bowling is probably the best in the competition. And look, that's where you get all the points in GDS, really. That 20th over where the opposition are just trying to smack the ball out of the park. His variations, change of pace, and just absolute excellent death bowling means he's going to capitalise in the wickets column. He might not have many in the first 3 overs because he's gone for none for 12, but he's the kind of guy that can end up with 3 for 20 by the end of an innings. Look, in the 2023 calendar year, he also took the most T20 wickets in the year, and that was he won more than Rashid Khan, who was second. So look, he's been in some form for a number of seasons and finally getting rewarded in green and gold. And he'll definitely want to push for selection in that T20 World Cup in India next year as well. So he's definitely going to want to have another big season here for the Hurricanes. He's bowled really well for the Aussies lately in the T20 series with India. He claimed back-to-back 3-wicket innings. So not only do I expect him to be amongst the leading wicket takers in the competition and top 5 averaging bowlers once again, but he's more than handy as a lower order bat, striking at 130. He notched up a top score of 40 last season, and he also got the 3rd most runs for bowler eligible players. So we love having guys that can bat well in the bowler position, and when you've got someone who can take wickets like Nathan Ellis and swing the bat as well as him, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer, and he's my must-have bowler from the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially, the form that he's in for the Aussies. And like you said, he's trying to prove himself for next year's T20 World Cup. So I think Ellis will definitely be leading from the front again as skipper for the defending champions this year. And I like what you said there about the batting at the lower order. He might not get many opportunities, but we know he can swing the willow, and he's not an easy beat. So I like that shout, mate. It's now my turn to go into the all-rounder, and you're probably going to be thinking, oh, this bloke probably should be the MVP, but I'm going to go for Mitch Owen this season. It's hard to look past him because he was an absolute weapon last year in GDS. He finished with the 4th highest average among all-rounders at 68.8 GDS points per game. A big reason for that was his monster 144 GDS points against the Scorchers, where he smashed 9 4s and 5 6s on his way to his first ton of the season. What's wild is he didn't even start bowling until the second half of the season, and that's when he really became a weekly lock. He closed out the regular season on fire with scores of 86, 88, and 75 GDS points, grabbing at least one wicket in each game. Add in 9 catches and a run out across the season, you've got a genuine three-dimensional player with a huge ceiling on his day. And honestly, who could forget the grand final where he absolutely obliterated the Thunder with a ridiculous 108 of 42 balls, belting 6 fours and 11 sixes in a man of match performance for the ages. However, if there is one slight small concern, it's his recent form for Australia with a top score of just 36 in his last 6 innings. But as we mentioned with Matt Short last week, he's been batting down the order, which doesn't really suit his game. Once back at opening for the Canes with pace on the ball and fielders up inside that circle, he should rediscover that form pretty quickly. And as we always say, if he's bowling too, he's near a must play in fantasy week in, week out.
Yeah, I really like that. You obviously have taken the MVP away from me there and Mitch Owen for your all-rounder must-have. But I think the thing I love the most is that he isn't in a whole lot of form at the moment. So if coaches are looking at some recent stats, they might go past Mitch Owen in one of those first games. And so he might be a cheeky little pod as well for anyone that isn't keeping up or maybe is just following stats. So, yeah, I like it as a good shout. Love it.
Now we're going to start to preview our young gun fades and our MVP for the Hobart Hurricanes. So over to you, Stu, for the fade.
Yeah, the Hurricane I'll be fading this season. That'll be Mac Wright. He had no BBL last year due to that ACL injury. And his numbers in the season prior, were nothing to write home about either. In 11 bats, he averaged just 25 runs. And his 10 most recent games in both the Global Super League and the top end tournament, his average has been just 20, and he's had 4 scores in single figures. So someone who's likely to come in at 4 with a really low ceiling and a pretty ordinary floor as well, he wouldn't be someone I'd be confident in putting in my batting lineup, particularly when in their team they've got so many other good, powerful hitters, such as Matty Wade and Ben McDermott, who you can play in that bat position. But they've also got Mitchie Owen there, like you mentioned. So, look, there's even an opportunity where if the Hurricanes are going along well and they need some power hitting toward the end of the innings, he might not even get a bat, and they might promote the likes of Timmy David and Chowdhury up ahead of him just because they've got the strike rate and the ability to get the innings rolling with some late big hitting. So, yeah, he might be one to sort of hold an innings together when there's a few early wickets, and he might just sort of guide the ball around the field and get some of those bigger hitters back on strike. But yeah, look, he hasn't had a lot of big bash in the last 5 or 6 seasons, I think totaling only 19 matches across that time. He's coming back from the ACL. He's not likely to get many overs in the power play, and he's likely to have a couple promoted ahead of him. So a pretty easy fade for me, particularly when there's so many other good options in the batting lineup from that team.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially, obviously, they're in Australian duty at the moment, but with Webster and Weatherall potentially to come back into that lineup as well, he's probably the first person to drop out to make way. Yeah. So I definitely think it's an easy fade, especially, like you said, with those big all-rounders. It's just going to take, quick runs for David to get bumped up ahead of him, like we potentially mentioned. So I definitely agree with that one there. And I think as well, someone else to keep an eye on is our young gun, Rahan Ahmed, who we don't have in our predicted 11 so far for the Hurricanes, but it's definitely someone to keep an eye on in the seasons this year. And he's potentially another person that could potentially take away Mac Wright's spot as well. Rahan Ahmed's an exciting 21-year-old bowler all-rounder from England who will be playing for the first time in the BBL this year. He was actually drafted by the Sixers in 2023 BBL season, but he had to withdraw at the 11th hour due to international duties, which just shows how highly England rate him. Ahmed has already represented his country 21 times across all formats, and he's proven himself to be a genuine wicket taker during that time. In his career in the Vitality Blast, he's taken 43 wickets in just as many games, with a best of 4 for 22, and his 20-25-100 campaign was just as impressive, where he took 12 wickets from 10 games with a best of 3 for 15. But what makes Ahmed such an exciting all-round fantasy prospect is he's not just a spinner who can bowl, he can seriously bat as well. In the 2025 Vitality Blast, he averaged 42.85 with the bat at a strike rate of 137, which included a top score of 52 not out. He's got that ability to swing the willow late in the innings and clear the ropes, which could be massive at Bellerive Oval with those short square boundaries. If given the opportunity in the side and potentially with the bat, Ahmed has the potential to be a real game changer for the Hurricanes and our fantasy teams this season.
Yeah, I love that shit. And along those same lines, my MVP is going to be someone of the sim mold. I'm going with an all-rounder as well that has some great potential with ball, but then also with bat. And I think that's going to be super important for both the Hurricanes, but then also a lot of our GDS side into the season. And for me, the MVP of this season for the Hobart Hurricanes is going to be their big international signing in Rashad Hussain, the Bangladeshi all-rounder. He's a bit more of a bowling all-rounder. Although his player card's already been updated and he's an out-and-out bowler now in terms of GDS, that could be an absolute godsend for coaches. So I think that really just helps. But look, he's no mug with the bat as well. Recently, he's had the BPL, so not too long ago, earlier in the year, his effort there, he hit 68 runs across 3 innings at a strike rate of 194. So again, that same kind of thing, a bowler that can bat. Obviously, he won't bat potentially as high as what we would like, but a bowler that can bat is just absolute gold. In terms of his preseason form, he burst onto the T20 scene previous World Cup. So it's going back 2024. He took 14 wickets in 7 matches, and I think he tied with one of our favourites in the Big Bash, Rashad Khan, for the most wickets, or the equal 14 wickets there. I love his form really coming into the Big Bash as well. In terms of Rashad, he's had 8 previous T20 games and he's bowled 30 overs across those games. And in that, he's taken 15 wickets. He's also had some handy runs when required there as well. So I'm really keen for him to have a massive season. And I think he's poised for probably not just a couple of round wins. I think really a potentially season winner, long-term season winner for the one coach in particular, hopefully myself, but we'll see. But I like that you bring him in, you're going to have him as a bowler. He's going to play 3 double prize rounds, and I think that's going to be massive. And as we said on the Strikers show, pretty much all of the international signings, bar a couple that we will discuss over the next few previews, all of the international signings are playing a full season, unless obviously due to injury. So they are signed for the rest of the season. So it's great to have them for the extended. So someone like Hussain, you need to get him into your squad as soon as possible. I haven't seen too many cards flying around, so make sure you get your hands on one of those.
It's actually pretty scary to think that the reigning champs can potentially even get stronger, because last year the one thing they really lacked was that frontline spinner, or that mystery spinner that teams crave in T20 cricket. So I definitely really like that shout. He's going to come in. He's going to make a difference straight away. He's going to play every single game. Going to potentially have bat to, round it all off. I'd love to play. So over to you, Dill. I believe it's time for our pack opening game.
Yes, our favourite part of the episode. Alrighty. Really simple. We are going to open a pack, and because the All-Star packs have dropped recently, we're going to open a 3-player rare pack. A 3-player rare All-Star pack. Let me get that right. And all you need to do is comment if you are wanting to get involved in the giveaway pool. To do that, you are going to jump onto either YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. Comment who your young gun, fade, and MVP for the Hobart Hurricanes is. Don't forget to like and subscribe all of those channels as well. And you'll go into the draw to win any and all of the cards from the giveaway pool. The way the giveaway pool works is we're going to open some packs, and we are going to place any Hobart Hurricanes players into that, or if we're feeling nice, we might add a couple of extras in as well. So let's jump in and let's open a 3-player rare All-Star. Boys, can you see that on screen there?
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Unreal. Okay, let's hope we get a Hobart Hurricane All-Star to add
Mitchie
to
Owen.
the prize pool. Big Mitchie Owen. Here we go. Alrighty, first up, we have a Tommy Allsop. We've got an Ollie Day gold, and we're going to finish off with a Matt Short gold.
Ooh.
Oh,
Wow.
we just put the Matt Short Gold in there as well, boys.
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you reckon? Let's do
Massive.
it. All right, Matt Short Gold is going straight into the prize pool. Unfortunately, no Hurricanes, but that's all right. We'll still chuck that Matt Short Gold in there. So I think at the moment we've got a Sam Billings and a Matt Short Gold, and I'm sure we will continue to load up that prize pool as we go. So once again, make sure you jump into the comments, comment who you think your young gun, MVP, and fade are for the Hobart Hurricanes, making sure that you have subscribed and liked the video, and you are into the draw. Alrighty, that is it for this episode. Another great episode. Remember, we will be back again with some more previews each and every Friday over on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Don't forget as well to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at FantasyBros AU. We'll have plenty of updates coming, including, I've teased it for a couple of weeks, but it'll be here very soon, the Big Bash 15 textbook, which is your preseason guide to everything GameDay Squad Aus Cricket. Boys, thanks very much. Has an unreal job hosting today, mate. Well done.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Take it easy. We'll see you soon.
See you, boys.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode by the Fantasy Bros. If you want to show your support, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this show on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Also, make sure you check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search at FantasyBros AU.